You ever have the cops show up and tape off your own lake after you just spent half a year bringing it back from a dust bowl because the HOA president swears you stole it from the entire neighborhood? Yeah, that happened to me. The officer's holding a complaint with my name on it. The HOA president's got this smug pink blazer smile like she's already penciled me in as the villain of the year, and for a second I thought, is this how the Old West felt? Except now the weapons are paperwork and city ordinances, not six-shooters and cattle drives. You ever had someone try to claim your backyard with documents older than you? Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because apparently this kind of crazy is everywhere. So here's how it all started. I'm knee-deep in the eastern shallows of Parker Lake, tightening the last valve on my restoration system. The water's finally clear, a kind of clarity you only get after 6 months of sweat environmental permits and more late nights than I care to count. That's when Officer Torres shows up, radio still crackling, hand resting on his duty belt. He looks me over like he's wondering if I'm about to start a brawl with the Canada geese. And right behind him is Belle Carson, Queen Bee, of Lakewood Estates HOA, stepping out of her SUV with all the subtlety of a marching band. Mr. Parker, I need to speak with you about a complaint, Torres calls out. So I wade to shore slow and steady, because let's be honest, rushing never helped anybody in a property dispute. As I get to the bank, I catch something odd, fresh saw marks on the old boundary marker post. It sticks in my mind even as Carson starts up, waving her finger at the water like she's Moses about to part the Red Sea. You think a few permits let you fence off community heritage? This lake belongs to Lakewood Estates, and we're not giving it up. She's got a voice that could peel paint. I pull off my gloves, watching Torres flip open his notepad, and the sun glints off the water behind me. 6 months of work sparkling in the afternoon. Torres, bless him, tries to keep it professional. Ma'am, let me handle this, he says. But he's got the face of a man who's already listened to enough HOA drama for one shift. He turns to me. Can you explain your authority to work on this lake? I hand over my laminated state permit, still sharp from all the bureaucratic misery it took to get it. Torres gives it a once-over, eyebrows up. He knows it's legit. Carson, though, pulls out her own map, all stamped up with official HOA letterhead. But the boundary lines are off. I mean, even a rookie could see it's fishy. I've been an environmental engineer for 35 years. I know my way around a survey. Officer, that map is off by 2.3 feet from the real boundary. I say, calm as you please. I can show you the county survey. And suddenly, Carson's red-faced, not so sure anymore. Torres finally says, look, no one's getting arrested today, but you two need to sort this out. Mr. Parker, your permit's good. Mrs. Carson, if you think there's a boundary issue, take it to civil court. He walks back to his cruiser, probably dreaming of a coffee break. Carson glares at me. This isn't over. Then peels out in her SUV, dust cloud in her wake. But those saw marks on the boundary post, that's what I can't shake. Someone tried to move that marker maybe to back up Carson's new map. And standing alone by the water where my dad used to fish, I can feel the storm coming, because this isn't about fish or water anymore. It's about people who think community means they can take whatever they want, even when the deed says otherwise. The next morning, I spread out my property documents on the kitchen table, old papers, yellowed but sharp. 30 years ago, my dad, Russell Parker, stood right here telling me stories about the bass he caught back in the 60s. Devin, when I'm gone, bring that water back. This land needs it. I bought these 8 acres on the eastern shore after his funeral, didn't know it would take me 15 years to figure out what he meant. Parker Lake was once a 25-acre natural ecosystem until neglect turned it into cracked earth, the western 17 acres county public land. But my 8-acre slice held the springs, the heart of the lake. Without my section, there was no lake, period. I tackled the restoration like any engineering project, soil analysis for decades of runoff-built wetlands to filter the water naturally rebuilt. The springs fought for every permit. But when I pulled the original 1981 survey back when Dad bought it, The community access path that Carson kept waving around wasn't an easement at all, just an old expired agreement. Their map was smoke and mirrors. Back outside, I inspect the boundary marker. Sure enough, those saw marks weren't from a surveyor. They were a sloppy handsaw job, someone trying to nudge the border when nobody was watching. I snap photos, timestamp them. Next, I dig into the county records online, find the original easement between my dad and the HOA. It was a 20-year deal set to expire in 2002, and here's the kicker: it would void automatically if the lake dried up for more than 5 years. Parker Lake was bone dry from 2005 until my restoration last year. Even if the HOA had tried to renew the dry spell, killed their claim. And they hadn't paid the $50 annual fee since 1997. By the book, their access vanished decades ago. Armed with all this, I hit the county office, asked the clerk for every file on Parker Lake. She hands over a banker's box packed with old deeds, surveys, yellowed contracts. Turns out the quitclaim deed gave Dad and now me full ownership, including water rights. The easement expired, payment stopped 25 years ago. And the best part, a letter from the county in 1998 shutting down any idea that community use creates legal rights without a proper easement. It's right there in black and white. That evening I get a text from an unknown number. Saw the police at your lake yesterday. HOA has been lying to residents about our rights. Can we talk? It's the former HOA secretary. Suddenly, I'm not the only one who sees Carson's house of cards. By dawn, my dining table is a war room. Satellite images permit PDFs, maps with timestamps. Google Earth even proves the lake was dry for almost 20 years. No way to claim continuous use. When the State Water Resources Office calls to say, Carson filed a federal complaint alleging I altered a navigable waterway without Army Corps of Engineers approval, my stomach flips. If the feds decide Parker Lake counts as a water of the United States, it could be tied up for years. But here's where things twist. If the feds do have jurisdiction, unauthorized HOA use becomes a federal offense. So I request a formal jurisdictional review and at the same time file my own complaint about 25 years of trespassing. Now, the chessboard's flipped. Carson's power play is about to backfire. The next HOA meeting is a circus. Carson stands at the podium, pearls gleaming, flanked by a lawyer and a surveyor, like she's running a trial, not a neighborhood discussion. She frames it as some guy threatening our community's future for the sake of paperwork. But when I ask for a copy of the current easement, she fumbles. Her lawyer Walsh tries to bluff about adverse possession, but I project the record showing the last payment was made in 1997. The room goes dead quiet. Then the questions start. How much did we pay in dues? Where did the money go? Residents realize they've been paying for rights that never existed, and the meeting devolves into chaos. The next day I meet Nora Blackwell, the former HOA secretary, at a diner. She slides me a manila envelope, original board minutes, an audio recording of Carson telling her lawyer to find a legal theory, or find a new lawyer and evidence of doctored meeting records. Carson had been collecting lake access fees for years, funneling cash through her husband's management company and cooking the books to keep the scam alive. With this mountain of proof, I walk into court. The judge is all business. Carson's lawyer tries the federal angle, but I've got a letter from the state. Parker Lake isn't federally navigable, and primary authority stays with the state. I roll out evidence of expired easements, unpaid fees, audio of Carson scheming, and financial records showing more than $200,000 in fraudulent dues. The room erupts, residents demanding answers, the judge calling for order, the HOA board in shambles. That night, Carson and a couple cronies show up on my property, dumping oil and fertilizer in my constructed wetlands, trashing everything in revenge. I record it all, call the sheriff. This isn't just vandalism, it's felony environmental sabotage, and now the state prosecutor is involved. Within days, charges are filed: fraud, environmental crimes, embezzlement, Racketeering. Carson's arrested assets frozen. Her lawyer loses his license, and the HOA is hit with fines, restitution, and a court order recognizing my exclusive lake rights. The new HOA board, after Carson's cronies are ousted, comes to me for a real agreement. I let them use the path one Saturday a month under strict conditions, and all fees go to actual restoration. 6 months later, the state gives me a conservation grant. The lake is clear, the kids are fishing, and the story gets picked up by law schools and environmental agencies across the country. I build a website, post every document, every legal trick I used, and now folks from Oregon to Florida are using it to fight their own HOA nightmares. But you know what matters most? Sitting on my dock watching a blue heron in the same spot my dad used to fish. Parker Lake's alive again, and everyone knows where the real boundaries are on the map and in the law. Sometimes justice looks like court orders, and jail time sometimes it's just clean water and kids laughing on the shore. So, let's settle this. Where do you stand? Is community convenience worth more than the law, or should property rights always win? Have you ever dealt with an HOA like mine? Drop your stories in the comments. And hey, if you know someone fighting their own HOA battle, share this video. Because around here, we believe the truth doesn't drown.